On Saturday, delegates of the All Progressives Congress will converge on Osogbo, the Osun State capital, to elect the gubernatorial candidate of the party to contest the governorship election in the state later this year. But ahead of the APC primary, former governor Rauf Aregbesola at the weekend launched a scathing attack on his mentor, former Lagos State Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Aregbesola accused Tinubu of treachery and elevating himself into a godlike status above others. At the heart of the matter is the factionalization of the Osun State APC, arising from its congress held in October last year. While Aregbesola backed the Razak Salinshile-led faction of the party, incumbent governor and Tinubu's blood relative, Boyega Oyetola, supported the Boyega Famodun-led faction, whose members were recently sworn in as the de facto party executives of the APC in the state. Aregbesola is also supporting a former secretary to the state government, Moshood Adeuti, in the governorship primary, while Tinubu has thrown his weight behind Oyetola's re-election bid. Now joining us to discuss the state of affairs in Osun APC ahead of his gubernatorial primary on Saturday, and the war of attrition between Aregbesola and Tinubu for the soul of the party in the state, is Senator Ajibola Basiru, the senator representing Osun Central in the National Assembly. Senator Basiru is also chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Good morning, Dr. Basiru, and welcome to the morning show.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Abati. It's nice being here this morning.
Thank you for joining us. Well, let's go straight into the matter. First, I need you to clarify for us which of the factions, the warring factions in Osun State APC that you belong to. And secondly,
there's no faction in Osun. There's no faction in Osun APC.
well, no politician will agree that there are factions within the party. But it's just for context, for us to know where you are coming from. But that will be clear as we begin the conversation. I just need your response to the statements attributed to the Minister of the Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, about how Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has turned himself into a god in Osun politics, and how he's guilty of treachery by his own definition, and how Governor Boyega Oyetola does not deserve a second term. And he is said to be sponsoring Moshood Adeuti, former secretary to the state government. And he says, just as Tinubu removed former Governor Akinwumi Ambode in Lagos, the same will be done to Governor Oyetola in Osun State. So there is a tit-for-tat situation. What should we expect? What is your, where do you stand in all of this as one of the leaders of Osun APC?
First and foremost, thank you for coming up with all these letterning of allegations. First and foremost, I must say that there's no faction in Osun APC. And this, I say it with all sense of responsibilities. The election that brought in Boyega Famodun as chairman of the APC was never and has never been challenged by anybody or any person. So to that extent, if anybody is claiming to purport to be chairman of a factional APC, at the best, the person is just a comedian. And I challenge anybody, whether any appeal or any protest or any litigation have been instituted to challenge the authentic leadership of Prince Boyega Famodun. So to that extent, there is no challenge as to the leadership of the APC in Osun. Secondly, I must make the public know that there was a challenge to the World Congress organized, and the case that was instituted on that account had been struck out on the grounds of jurisdiction, lack of course of action, and they've been very nebulous in terms of representation by the Federal High Court in Osogbo. Another sister case instituted in Ikire High Court of the State High Court was also struck out on the account of lack of diligent prosecution. So as it is now, there is no pending litigation, to the best of my knowledge, challenging the authenticity of the Gboyega Famodun-led executive. The local government congress that was done, no challenge any whatsoever has been brought against it. Ditto for the state congress. So I would say that the question of fractionalization, maybe, for media people like you, it will sound eye-biting, but in the eye of the law and in the eye of the party, there's no such fractionalization in Osun. And that is why in your intro, you have said that the Famodun-led administration had been recognized and had been given certificate of return by the national leadership of our party. On the allegations that the Minister for Interior, who incidentally I served under him in two capacities as Commissioner for Special Duties and Commissioner for Regional Integration. By virtue of my training and upbringing of a Yoruba man, I will not join issues with him as to whatever he has said about our referred leader, indefatigable Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. By my training as a lawyer, he will assert must prove. So if he has allegations that he has made against our leader, then it is in the court of public opinion for him to assert and prove same. But what I know is that our party in Osun is under the leadership of our Baba Adebisi Akande, who incidentally is the founding chairman of the APC. Aside the constitutional hierarchy of our party, we have a council that we call Aregbesola, of which I am a member of the party. The Aregbesola comprised of notable politicians since the Action Group days till UPN, AD, and now APC, including former ministers, former governors, former deputy governors, ambassadors, and so on and so forth. To the best of my knowledge, there is no dissension in that body of group in terms of majority opinion as to the need for Governor Oyetola to be supported to continue the developmental stride in Osun. Of course, you agree with me, Dr. Abati, that the essence of democracy is heterogeneity of ideas and perspective. It may well be that our leader, Ogbeni Aregbesola, has a different perspective as to how governance ought to be conducted by the present government. Unfortunately, the governor is the one by Section 5 of the Constitution that have been given executive power to pilot the affairs of the state. What we have is also the fact that part of the beauty of democracy is that anybody can aspire and everybody is free to support the aspiration of anybody. So it is good that our minister and our leader has shown his preference for Moshood Adeoti, who was a decampee of from the party in 2018 after he lost the governorship election. So the stage is only left for party members, and we are doing direct primary to determine as between the three contenders, that is the incumbent governor, whom the party leadership and the hierarchy and membership are supporting, and the former SSG, who has evidently the backing of the former governor, and of course a former deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Asu Yusuf. And in fact, the contest appeared to be narrower than in Ekiti State. In Ekiti, we have a litany of contestants and aspirants, and of course, the winner will be decided. So as far as I'm concerned, the party in Osun is under the leadership of Gboyega Famodun. Baba Bisi Akande is our leader in the party. And I've never seen a day, I'm a senator of Federal Republic, I've never seen a day when anybody outside Osun has come and tell us that this is the way and manner we should carry out our affairs. We have a structure that is under the hierarchical leadership of Aregbesola. Of course, all party structure also have their role and responsibility within the party constitution. And as to the question, why are we rooting for Gboyega Oyetola? I will tell you that in the past 3 years, Gboyega Oyetola has shown leadership and has shown the need to consolidate on the development that our party, the APC, has brought to Osun. In terms of engagement with the public service, you have a governor that not for a single day there has been any industrial disharmony. The salaries and entitlement of the workers have been paid promptly. There has been allowances to workers to support them in terms of a car loan, and also support for those who had actually exited the service in terms of payment of gratuity and arrears of pension. So in terms of industrial harmony and peace, he has done very well. In the area of the health sector, we have 332 wards in the state, And as I'm speaking now, 320 of them have had a completed primary health care center. And of course, he has put into use the health insurance scheme, which has ensured access to health care for the vulnerable in our society. He bankrolled and supported the takeoff of the health insurance scheme with a whooping sum of 450 million naira. In the area of education, you have seen the level of involvement in ensuring the quality of education, which has resulted in quantum leap in the result of our students in external examination. In the area of infrastructure, he has also been able to attend to major infrastructure needs of our people. For instance, the Aregbesola road, which had been left abandoned for the past 30 years, the Ede-Ejigbo road had also been touched, the township road in Ile-Ife, in Ede, and some other places are also being attended to. And this against the background of the fact that we had challenges. The first 10 months of his administration was devoted to a challenge by the PDP that lost the election. Then by March 2020, there was the incursion of the lockdown occasioned by the global COVID-19 pandemic. Notwithstanding this challenge, he has been able to bring his experience in the private sector and, of course, experience accumulated by being in the driving seat as chief of staff in the 8 years of Aregbesola administration to be able to pilot the affairs to continue to consolidate on development of our state. And in this regard, we must also mention the fact that when it comes to institutional memory, when it comes to understanding the nuances of the people, he has been able to blend this in reality.
Right,
and that is why it's not surprising.
I'm going to have to come in now. Right. Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola never named names, but I'm going to quote him. He said some very strong words. We exalted him beyond his status. He also said, some people even thought we were no longer Muslims because of how we cooperated with him. This is loyalty to the point of perceived idolatry that he's describing. What exactly caused the rift between Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola and Asiwaju Bola Tinubu?
I think Ogbeni Aregbesola is in the best position to say if there's a rift and what could have been the cause of that rift between him. But what I know is that what is at stake for us in Osun is the primary election of our governor. So if, for instance, because I know the former governor and Asiwaju, they were doing politics together in Lagos State. I've never been a politician in Lagos, so I wouldn't know whether it is a matter or what is occurring to them in Lagos. But as far as Osun is concerned, and I say it, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has not, told us and breathed down on us any aspirants in this regard. The 9 federal constituencies in our state had actually done endorsement rally by party stakeholders to endorse Governor Oyetola for second term. I attended one in the residence of Bababisi Akode yesterday in Ila, where Ila, Boluwaduro, and the federal constituency stakeholders openly endorsed Governor Oyetola. So if the minister, our leader, had problem with our very revered and most respected leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, I think it is for him to be probed as to that. And I wouldn't be in a position to make any representation either on his behalf or on behalf of our national leader, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. What I'm concerned is the success of Oyetola in the primary on Saturday. So I wouldn't go into any of such allegations. By training as a lawyer, he will assert and must prove. Since he has made the assertion, and I think it should be for him to respond to those assertions. What I know is that our commitment to ensure good governance in Osun has impelled us to do our best to ensure the emergence of Oyetola, not only in the primary, but in the July 16 governorship election in Osun.
Well, Dr. Basiru, quickly, the primaries will be held on Saturday, we're told, and the main gladiators will include the incumbent, Governor Oyetola, Lasun Yusuf, former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Moshood Adeoti, the anointed candidate of the former Governor, Rauf Aregbesola. But our concern has to do with the threat of violence. There was a full-page story in this day, I think yesterday also, about how the Iliri Oluwa camp, led by the governor, has been targeting members of the Osun Progressives, the TOP, led by Minister Aregbesola. And the fear is that, look, on Saturday, you could have the Lady Oluwa camp, which obviously you belong to, if you don't want to call it a faction. Maybe you agree that it's a camp, a separate camp. You know, the threat of violence. Are those fears real or not?
I wouldn't want to agree with you that anybody is chasing anybody, whatever they call themselves, in Osun. What I know, and I say it, I wouldn't want to have said it, but as a Nigerian, as an elected senator, I must say that I'm troubled. And I have a video on my tape, which I will send on my phone, which I will send to you after this, of a minister of the Federal Republic, gunshots being fired by people who are not security personnel around him. The question is that, are those gunshots being perpetrated by Governor Oyetola? It's unfortunate. I wouldn't want myself to be dragged into war of words with somebody that I had so much regard, so much respected, and somebody that actually I see as my benefactor. But we must say the truth. There is no such conspiracy to attack anybody. In fact, how will you, as victors, be attacking rather than rejoicing? We have a party solidly behind the governor. So why should we want, to engage in act of brigandage and act of violence? I think that is just lies, propaganda that has no basis, whatsoever. Fortunately, earlier this morning, I read a report, from the police that I put the blame where it lies. It's unfortunate that we are taking issue of security of lives and property, particularly at this precarious time, to politicize with it. I can tell you, Dr. Abati, I mark my word, on Saturday, the primary election will be free, peaceful, credible, and we ensure that the will of the majority of our members, the APC members in Osun, will prevail as to who emerge as our flag bearer in the July 16 governorship primary. There's no doubt about that.
Well, can you really say that Tinubu has no interest in the Osun election when, the governor Oyetola is his brother? And also the prospective APC candidate, Moshood Adeoti, the former SSG, who you've referred to this morning, has been quoted as saying that Ogbeni Rauf or Aregbesola felt that Oyetola was foisted upon him, and the only reason why he supported him was out of loyalty to his boss, Asiwaju Tinubu, that he was forced to support him.
You see, I will tell you, I'm a politician in Osun, and I know that there's no day, as I'm speaking, that Asiwaju Tinubu has come to any meeting in Osun or has had any meeting with some of us who are leaders of the party to tell us that we should support Governor Oyetola. So anybody can conjecture what they have done. You see, the way I see this is this. If Adeoti wants to be governor, just as he wanted to be in 2018, and if our leader, Ogbeni Aregbesola, want to support him, they don't need to call in or drag the name of Asiwaju Tinubu. Ultimately, with respect to Asiwaju Tinubu, he has no votes on Saturday. It is the members of the party in Osun that has votes. Unfortunately, our leader, Ogbeni Aregbesola, has a vote, so he is free in the contest to vote for whoever he wants to do. I still have a lot of regard and respect for Ogbeni Aregbesola, so I will not, want to join any issues, with him. But part of his democratic rights as a leader, as a politician, as a Democrat, is also to respect and give necessary regard for the democratic aspiration and regard of other people.
Okay, Senator Basiru, let's go from the village to the center. I'm sure Governor Oyetola must be very happy that if you were not the spokesperson for the Senate of Nigeria, you will also make a very good spokesperson for his administration in Osun State. But straight to the point. Let's talk about the electoral bill as re-amended and retransmitted to the president of Nigeria. One report was saying that the president had just quietly ignored whatever was re-amended. What are your concerns? And, what's the position of the Senate, or if you like, the National Assembly in this regard?
For now, we are, if I use a legal term, we are presently functus officio as far as the electoral bill is concerned. We have done what we thought should be done and we have transmitted, to the president. It's now for the president to decide. I wouldn't know. I'm not privy to what is happening in the presidency, so I wouldn't know whether he quietly ignored or loudly ignored, as the case may be. But I know that we have a 30-day framework for him to either express assent or withhold assent. So I think it is only when we hear from him that we'll be able to do so. And of course, when I heard of an interview granted by the chief law officer and I was asked for a response, my response would be that I cannot join issue with an appointee of the president until we receive a communication from the president. But I want to say that it will serve the nation well if Mr. President assent to the electoral bill. We cannot allow personal interests of political appointees or individuals, even elected, to stand in the way of fair, credible election in Nigeria. There's a correlation, you agree with me, Dr. Abati, between good governance and genuine, sound, democratic practices. That will be the pressure on political actors to act in the well-being of the people if they are sure that in a fair, credible election, they will be rejected by the people. So my appeal would be to the president to allow the Electoral Act, which is innovation, particularly in the area of recognition of electronic accreditation and also transmission of election results, and also ensuring that we streamline the grants of our election petition aside the recognition of the rights of the disabled in terms of disaggregation of our voters register. There are so many innovative, capable of elevating the status of credible election in Nigeria Electoral Act beyond the issue that ought to be a matter for internal affairs of political party. As far as I'm concerned, in classical political science, issue of emergence of candidates should really not be a subject matter in an electoral act. But since it has been introduced by the extant Section 87, we thought that there's a need to streamline it and ensuring credibility. And as to even the issue that has been raised about resignation of political appointee, for me, it's also a constitutional issue. I can say that whether that provision can even stand in view of the constitutional requirement of qualification is also a matter that is for the judiciary, not even for the legislative arm or the executive arm. My own understanding of the law is that qualification for an office is stipulated by the Constitution. So if a person is otherwise qualified by provision of the Constitution, can Electoral Act disqualify such a person? Those are my thoughts, but I believe that it is in the interest of genuine, credible, democratic maturity of Nigerians that the president should sign the electoral bill.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Basiru.
Still so much to ask. Never mind. Thank you for your time.